growing up trying to operate and be in relationships, through middle school, through high school, through college, and then being in a relationship that I thought was, the all and be all, and then it turned out to be not. Just like you talked about postpartum, having a kid, being a single mom, like there was a lot of pressure for me to get to the point mentally where I said, you know what, it may just be best if, all of this went away.
Yo, good morning. Welcome home. Welcome to War. We're all recovering. And welcome to season 4. Today, I got a special guest. And I just want to shout out right now to Danielle. Danielle, please tell the world where you're from, please.
I'm from New York. I'm from Far Rock, Queens.
Listen to that, guys. Far Rockaway, America. I'm from Far Rock, so this is a special interview. You know what I'm saying? If you know, Far Rock is real small. She in Cali, I'm in Cali, so we already on that same level. So today's guest, not only from Far Rockaway, doesn't just come. She just doesn't create choreography, all right? She creates transformation. She's a choreographer, creative director, actress, entrepreneur, founder of Cardio Healing, a mother, everything. And a woman who took abuse, divorce, heartbreak, and disappointment and somehow turned that into purpose, because that's what it's all about. And this just isn't another interview about dance, all right? It's about rebuilding a life after everything falls apart. Danielle Adams Elias, welcome to W.A.R. We're all recovering. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. We're all recovering. That's such a powerful name.
Thank you. It took me a minute to come up with it. I was like, I want to start this podcast, but I want to reach everybody and everything. And that's just the way I felt for a long time. And then I was like, we're all recovering. And then the war hit me. I was like, hold on, that spells war. And it's really like we at war.
Yes.
So we're all recovering in war. I was like, bam, we got it. Let's run with it. Yes.
I love it. And congratulations on season 4 as well.
Thank you. And you starting it off, So this is great. So let's start here. I love starting here. Everybody sees the confident, beautiful woman sitting in front of me today. I want to meet the woman nobody saw. Who was Danielle before life forced you to become who you are?
That's an interesting question. That's a really good question.
I love it. I love starting here.
I'm definitely quiet. I think, that person inside of me will never go away just because I love to be by myself. I love to be observant and kind of on the outside of the circle rather than in the mix.
So you like an introvert?
I am the biggest introvert, but I also have had to be forced to be an extrovert because, becoming into my womanhood and, just being a woman and just being out in the world, needing to talk to other people and, assert yourself in a certain way. Me being a dancer and a choreographer, being a leader in those moments, I have to not, shy back, but definitely step up. And then just being a performer. There's no room for, being shy or on the outside or just kind of the one on the outside looking in. So, yeah, that definitely forced me to step out of my comfort zone and interact with people.
Right. I feel you because I'm a huge introvert, and yeah, I actually, well, not now. I hated talking to people. I just hate opening my mouth. Like, it was a point in time where I would open my mouth and yawn. Like, it felt exhausting.
Yeah.
Like, somebody engaged in a conversation with me and I just bust out with a yawn. Like, then the conversation will start to flow. Like, let me prepare myself for this, like, yeah, but, like, I changed, though, over time. And,
Yes.
so, it's good to be a little extrovert from time to time. Yeah, sometimes, but I always love starting there. I wish we did this interview, face to face. We so close. We could have did it in person, but maybe in the future.
We will.
All right, bet. So Yeah, and I always feel like, success is easy to admire, but the climb is what inspires people anyway, well, what inspires me, You describe your journey as survival, the self made success. Take me back, what was the lowest moment where you honestly didn't know how life, was going to turn out?
I suffered, a lot of things as a child, as most people had. But I think when it really hit me and I was like, what the heck is this? Is after my divorce. So I was married at 19 and, had my child at 20. So I was extremely young. And we got married. We were married for about a year and a half. And after that year and a half, we separated. And I think that is when everything just hit me at once as far as like relationships and where I was in life and how I handle things. It just everything just kind of hit me at once, and that's when I really kind of took a turning point in saying, okay, something has to give, because I was so low to the point where I felt like I just wanted to end my entire life. I didn't want to be here.
Man.
And for anybody who's ever experienced that, it's definitely a hard place to be in, because not a lot of people understand that, and so there's not a lot of people to talk to about that. And so that's why
Right.
sometimes when people do that, it's just like, oh, it happened out of nowhere, like, oh, they were so happy, or they were so, but you never really know what they're going through, because it's a hard thing to talk about. But it's just the enemy, and it's just the attack on your mind and on your spirit and your soul. And thank God I was delivered from that, right at the right time. But yeah, that would have been the lowest part, and that was like the turning point for me.
Was it your marriage, that made you feel like that? Like you just want to end things, or was it the birth or of your kid that gave you like postpartum or something like that, or was it like a combination of both, or things that just was going on in the world?
It was a lot. It was a lot. So for me, like I said, I was a kid. I was when I was a kid, I was abused for many years.
Hmm.
And when you are abused, or anyone who's abused, especially as a woman, and men deal with this too. We just don't really talk about it as much. But when you're abused as a woman, as a child, it can affect the way you view relationships moving forward. And
Yeah.
so I believe it was just a combination of that, and then growing up trying to operate and be in relationships, through middle school, through high school, through college, and then being in a relationship that I thought was, the all and be all, and then it turned out to be not. Just like you talked about postpartum, having a kid, being a single mom. Like, there was a lot of pressure for me to get to the point mentally where I said, you know what, it may just be best if, all of this went away, right? But
Right.
that's not always, I'm sorry, that's never, never the answer. Because when you go through things, you're not hoping that it goes away so that you can finally become comfortable. You're hoping that, or the goal is to become stronger so that nothing can tear you down to that level again. Because we're all going to encounter things. It's never going to end. The enemy is constantly going to try to stop us from to getting where we need to be, or stop us from even continuing to thrive in life. And so we have to know within ourselves, no matter what that thing is, whether it's postpartum, whether it's divorce, whether it's homelessness, whether it's poverty, whether it's single parent, whatever the case is, whatever, trauma that you've experienced, there's always a way through it. And that doesn't mean
Definitely.
getting out of it. Yeah.
Right. And those, excuse me, those are the moments that define us, really. Nobody posts those chapters. You don't see that on Instagram and all that. That's where your character gets built, So I love that. You openly mentioned surviving abuse, like you were just saying. What did abuse try to convince you about yourself? And how did it take, to stop believing those lies? How long did it take?
Wow, that's a really good question. So, abuse made me believe that, that's all that I was capable of getting. When the closest people to you that are supposed to be loving you and protecting you are doing the complete opposite, you start to feel like, well, this is all that I deserve, right? And you will go through life like that, because that's what the Bible says, as a man thinketh, so is he, right? So if you're thinking this is all I deserve, then a lot of times that's all you're getting, because that's where your mindset is, and that's what you're settling for. And so then it continues to be a downward fall, because that's what you're getting. So it's like, that's what I deserve. because you're not seeing a different result, right? And so it's not until you know within yourself, I deserve much more for myself, even if it doesn't come from someone else. Within myself, I have to give myself more. And I actually got delivered spiritually from what was called a spiritual husband. For those who know kind of that world, a lot of times a spiritual husband will come into your life as a demon and start to affect certain areas in your life.
Wow.
And so getting delivered from that definitely changed a lot, because I believe that spiritual husband attached itself to me when I was a child, going through that abuse and not knowing how to operate spiritually to kind of defend myself. And so growing up, going through relationships, like I said, not choosing the right men, or even friendships, that weren't beneficial for me in that kind of sense. So what am I trying to say? Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
No, you good, you good. Take your time, take your time.
So after being delivered, then it was like the mental thing now, like, right, the spiritual was fixed. Now it's like, okay, now I still have to fix my mind and what I'm used to and what my body has gotten used to, like the habits that I'm used to doing in relationships. And then so that's when I was able to now see myself in a different light, see everything in a new perspective, from God's perspective, right, without anything clouding that judgment, and grow from there. So, learning from the right people, reading the right books, watching the proper videos, feeding my mind and myself with everything that I needed to do to say, okay, this is where you are, this is how you get to where you want to be, whatever that looks like, whether it means being in the proper relationships, whether that means being more confident, whether that means, knowing who you are and not thinking that's all you deserve. So there was definitely, over time, God definitely had to do some things to shift me, and as he still is. But yeah, it just took time and work.
And I feel you, because I found out, it took me a while to find this out though, but that's what abuse does. It's not just your body. It don't just hurt your body. It kind of like attacks your identity,
Yes.
you know? And so I feel you deeply. Before I go on though, Danielle, you're two people right now. Break down Danielle. Tell me, is it Danielle Adams Elias or Danielle Adams Johnson? Because I'm just so confused. When I was reading, when I was looking at, when I got all of the media kits, you came through. I'm like, who is this person and who is this person? Is this which one am I interviewing? So who am I interviewing right now?
You are speaking to Danielle Adams Elias. That is my spiritual last name, but Johnson
Okay.
was my married name, so my ex-husband's last name, but I kept the name for my daughter's sake.
Okay,
For, like,
okay.
professional reasons, yeah, like, for school and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it's easier for identification, and you
Yes,
got to change all your license and
yes.
all that. So, okay, I could dig it. I dig it now. Okay, now we could continue. All right, but y'all the same people. Okay, cool.
Yeah, we're
All
the
right.
same person.
Okay,
Different personality. One is the introvert, one is the...
the extrovert. Okay, okay, cool. I got it. I got it. So that's what's going on, people. Just want to clarify. All right. Moving on. What finally made you say no more? Just that's it. No more.
No more to...
The
feelings.
to yeah, like the abuse and everything.
Well, I got older, so I don't think, once you get to a certain age, you kind of start to recognize what's going on, and the person abusing you understands that too, right? So that's one of the things, me getting older. But yeah, after my divorce, I moved back home. There was a period in time where I was just doing whatever I wanted to do. It's like anybody who's been through divorce, especially at the age of 22, are going to, I mean, divorce at any age, you're going to do whatever you want to do at that point. You're just going to be crazy, right? You're going to be living in the world. So I had that moment in time, and then that was like, okay, my moment where I was like, okay, I have to figure something else out. Like, this is not gonna be able to continue on. And I remember I moved back home, and I was laying down on my parents' couch, and I remember opening the Bible, and I was just like reading it. And like, I had always been in church, my parents had always made us go to church, and like that was always a thing. But I don't think my relationship like really got intimate and like personal until that moment where I was just reading the Bible, and the Bible was reading back to me, myself, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I am just a terrible person. Like,
Right, right,
crazy. So
right.
from then it was like, okay, I gotta do something different.
Right, I feel you. I feel you. Like everybody has that moment, especially with the Bible too, man. Like that's when I actually my relationship with God is what changed me, you know.
Hmm.
And that's when the world just when I figured out when you really accept God into your life, you'll see things change. You know, like people say I believe in God, but do you really believe in God?
Yeah.
Like don't just talk it, you know, you really gotta believe him, you really gotta accept him, you know, and have that faith for things to change. Because I used to always say I believe in God, I grew up in church, and you know I say my prayers and everything, but then life goes on, and you know I'm not thinking about God until shit goes south,
Yep.
you know. But then when I had my near death experience,
Wow.
and I really accepted them, things just changed for me instantly.
Amen.
You know what I'm saying? Amen. You know, that's a line in the sand, you know? Okay.
No, yeah, that's true, and I'd love to hear more about your experience too, because
Yes, yes, ma'am. Definitely, definitely. But
and
this is
sometimes,
about you. We're gonna keep it with you, you know. Go ahead, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, sometimes it does take those like life-changing moments for us to finally wake up to, the relationship and the intimacy with him.
Mm-hmm.
And, a lot of times, like even in life, even after, people have come to God, and whether their life was like crazy before and then they come to God. And then, over time they start to see like that doesn't mean that everything's gonna be perfect. The
Mm-hmm.
same way God brought you to himself and allowed you to see him in a new way when he brought you through that struggle the first time, that's the same
Yeah.
thing he's gonna do continuously no matter what the struggle is. He's gonna
Yes, ma'am.
show you who he is, continue to show you new perspectives
Mm-hmm.
and show you how much you can grow and learn and push through and teach other people.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Now, Dan, yeah, something just crossed my mind too. I meant to say earlier, you could dance your ass off. I was like, yo, I was looking at your Instagram videos. You know, you could dance. I'm gonna put it all in the description and everything so people could follow you and everything. You could dance your ass off, like for real. You know, like we gonna get into that later, but I just want to throw that out there so I ain't forget to tell you. Yeah, but you amazing. You can move, girl. You doing your thing. Yes, yes. Let's get into your divorce a little bit. We was just talking about because people treat divorce like it's just paperwork, you know, and it's not. Because I lived that. I lived that life, you know, that went through that divorce and everything. It's grieving someone who's still alive, you
Yeah.
know. So tell us how you survived that season.
Oh my goodness. It's crazy. You know how they say you don't look like what you've been through?
Yeah,
If y'all
yeah.
would have seen me back then, oh my goodness, you would have been so disappointed in your girl, okay? Oh my goodness. I was so, I just knew I was like, God hates divorce and, this is, but I didn't realize how much more I needed until I learned and grew and, became an adult. Because I was a breadwinner, which I had no issue with, but
Mm,
I didn't understand how much that affected him
mm,
negatively, and I didn't treat it as such. I wasn't
mm,
as empathetic as I should have been towards
mm,
him not being the breadwinner. Like, obviously, there were things going on with him that he needed to fix as well. But
mm,
just speaking on me and who I was in the marriage, I definitely could have been a more supportive wife in that sense. But I just didn't understand.
mm,
And it actually helps me even now because a lot of my message is about pushing people into their purpose, but there's a way
mm.
you do it, right? And there's an understanding that comes behind. And at the time, I just didn't understand. I was pushing him a little too hard and just going too hard to the point
Mm-hmm.
where he felt like he had to lie and kind of be sneaky if he did lose a job and this and that. So
Man,
it,
yeah.
it wasn't the best. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that's where we were. So when we got a divorce, I felt like it was part of my fault for why we were ending. But, God,
So was it mutual? Sorry to cut you off. Was it mutual or
it
did
wasn't.
you? No.
Mutual. He walked out and never came back.
Oh
And
man.
I was so hurt. I was so hurt. I mean, you can only imagine. And then we had a kid together. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the stuff with the kid, and then you have other people being involved because you start dating and, friends, and oh my gosh. I mean, I'm like getting into fights with people. It was
Mm-hmm.
crazy. It was crazy. But, I was young and that was my husband. At the time,
Mm-hmm.
it was like, you're married, just like people really took that seriously.
Right, right.
But yeah, so it was definitely not easy. And then after he left, you're left kind of trying to figure out what to do, what's going on, who you are again. And again, I was so young, so that was already a question in my mind. So it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. I fought for the marriage. I fought for at least like a year. I think I called him every day for a year straight. It was crazy.
So you tried, you
I
tried.
did, I did. But that's what I said. God knows what he's doing, because if I thank God, okay? That was like, us being divorced was like really in his plan. Like, our daughter,
Right,
definitely his plan. Our divorce, definitely his plan, because we don't even align spiritually anymore. Our beliefs are
right.
different. Like, we're just different. So, yeah.
So do you think you that he felt emasculated a little with you pushing him so much and you being the breadwinner and everything?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And it was hard. And at the time, I didn't know. You know how people say don't date potential and da da.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things I just didn't know. And so in my mind, I'm like, okay, he's here in this position now, but that doesn't mean that he can't get to where.
Yeah, yeah,
And
right.
I feel that way about everybody. That's literally the purpose of my brand and my company.
Right.
But again, it's how you do it. And because he was my husband, there was also that additional pressure for him to, get it in a certain amount of time and do it in a certain amount of a certain way. But yeah, that just didn't align with me. Like, I'm definitely a go getter. I'm definitely gonna push him to go.
Right, right.
Yeah, he's a great great man. Great.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Y'all was just on two different paths. And I agreed with you, like everything is in God plan. God plans like everything that happened to me, I'm like, why? But now I see why.
Yeah.
But during that time I didn't understand. But it's definitely in his plan. I tell people that all the time. I say, just follow it, just take it in. It's gonna make you better. Trust me.
Yeah, if we were still together, I definitely wouldn't be sitting here today. I definitely wouldn't have built what I built. So,
Right, right, right. Me and you here. We here. I feel you. Trust me. If you knew my story, you wouldn't believe how aligned me and you are right now. It's crazy. I feel you. So after your divorce, did you like feel like you had to rediscover who you actually was?
yeah, I was still learning that. We actually didn't get divorced until I moved here to California. And I knew that, God would be bringing me to a better place. And so I started thinking about alimony. I didn't know that was a thing. And then so I started looking into it. And I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and cut these ties officially. Because I was not dealing with that.
Smart, smart, smart. Very smart. Good job.
Wait,
Good job. I'm patting you on your back right now. Good job.
you mean to tell me?
Yeah, yeah.
No. So yeah, it was after I moved here. And once I moved to California, I moved here when I was about 24, 25.
Mm-hmm.
Because after the divorce, I moved back with my parents, but then I got my own place, and we tried to do it again.
Mm-hmm.
So then I finally moved, and, of course that wasn't easy for him, but for me it was definitely necessary. I definitely knew I had to be here. And since being here, it's different when you're by yourself, no family, all of your
Man.
friends. Yeah, I got in my car and I drove all the way here by myself. But being here without the additional support and distractions definitely shaped a lot of who I am today, because I had to be tough. I had to be the woman. I had to be the mom. I had to be, everything. I had to be the dad at sometimes, so I had to be everything for myself, for my daughter, in this world, in this new environment, so it definitely caused me to grow up and learn who I was in that moment, because I was going to do that anyway, but in this environment it was definitely a lot better than with him.
Man, you're amazing, man. Cause I tell you, like it's crazy. 'Cause I did the same thing. I didn't drive. I flew. But all my family is in the East Coast, and I don't have any family here. But the distraction is gone. You know what I'm saying? That loudness of the East Coast. I still got them at. I like to say they're at arm's length. You know, they think that I moved out here to get away from them, but I didn't. I just,
Right.
yeah, I didn't. I just need to find home. I need to, like feel at home someplace. I didn't feel at home where I was. It was crazy, but anyway, we talk offline about that. But you built you rebuilt your life while raising your daughter. How much did motherhood save you?
It's funny because being in my position and going through what I have gone through, you would have thought that, I mean, it would have been easy for me to kind of just be out in the world and do whatever I want to do and kind of make money whatever way I can make money. And of course, having a kid, it makes you do that too, especially in California. You'd be surprised how many offers you get to, leave your purpose and go after the bag in a nice
Hmm.
positive way, right? But with having her, it was like the complete opposite because I never wanted her to get into a difficult situation, ask me how I got out of it, and I not having a proper answer to give her. That's like really big. And not just for her, but a lot of other women, that are in my vicinity because everybody's going to go through financial something at some point. And if your only answer is getting on my knees or on my back to figure it out, then who are you helping? And so
No,
I had to be
right.
the one to help myself first so that I knew
Hmm.
what that looked like, what it felt like in order to, pass that down to her. So yeah, I could have definitely taken the easy way out in a lot of situations, but because I knew that she would one day become a woman, she would one day
Yes,
go through certain things, it was important for me to figure out how to handle that so that I can
yes,
carry that to her.
yes, yes. I agree 100%. And you know what I call? I call children. I call for a long time. I called them accountability partners.
Yes.
They are biggest accountability partners. Like they stay watching us. Especially when you think they not. They stay watching us.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Very observant, very smart and ahead of their time. Like,
Yes.
especially the kids nowadays. Like, they don't seem smart, but they like, they are way ahead of their time now. They are built different. Something is cooking in y'all. Something different is cooking in y'all. I don't know if it's alien DNA. I don't know. But, I ain't going to tell you my thoughts on aliens and all that, but I think they are changing like evolution and everything, but that's another story. But they way smarter than us. Like,
Yes.
so I feel you. I feel you. All right. Moving on. All right. So what lesson do you hope your daughter learned from watching your life?
The biggest one for me, anybody watching, is to know that they can get through anything and get to where they're going. But for my daughter, I would say maybe something a little bit more grounded, because we're with each other every day, sometimes all day because she's homeschooled.
How old is she?
She's 10.
10? Wow, wow. Okay.
So something a little bit more grounded would be, I mean, I teach her the normal things, like the normal household things, but definitely just her relationship with God, like building that intimacy,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't want her to ever feel like if I'm not around, she can't, continue on. Because, like I said, we have such a close relationship. We're with each other all the time. But now that she's with her dad, for example, for the summertime,
Mm-hmm.
it was important for me to take like those last couple months to just build her up in,
Mm-hmm.
you know, scripture and, situational things like real life events and still including God in it. So that when she's alone, in the world, she can still have a certain mindset that won't tear her down.
Right, right. And let me say kudos to Dad for having her for the summer. Kudos to Dad. And I love that y'all have a great co-parenting relationship. We need more of that, and unfortunately it's not like that, but hopefully one day, men will wake up. But big shout out to Dad.
Yeah.
Word.
It took some time. It definitely
Okay.
took some time, some arguments,
Mm-hmm.
because I was not the easiest to deal with. Like if there was something that you could be doing better on, I know you could be doing better on. I'm gonna say it for sure. So it
What's
wasn't.
your sign? What's your sign? I gotta know. What's your sign? I'm big in astrology too, so I need to know this before we continue or before I end the conversation.
Okay, what do
What,
you think? What do you think it is?
I hope. Please, I don't want to say this. I hope. I hope. Let's get this. Let's the first day Virgo.
No.
Okay, thank God. Woo! That's a good. That's a close one. That's a close one. All right, I'm not talking to you. Okay, let me try two more. Two more. I'm gonna go with Gemini.
No, God, no.
Okay, just tell me, is it a fire sign?
It is.
Okay, if it was, I'm not gonna go Leo because if it was Leo, you would have told me because I said my birthday is in August.
Yeah.
So
I was too honest to my ex-husband.
let me see, Aries.
No, that's close. He was an Aries. That's why we were so tight.
Okay, okay. So what is it? What is it?
I'm a
Just give it.
Sagittarius.
Okay, that was gonna be my next one. Good, good. I rock with Sagittarius. I rock with the Sag. Shout outs to all the Sag out there. Okay, good. As long as you're not Virgo, we good. We
December
good.
Sag too. No shade.
Yeah, like, okay, okay, good, good. Get away, go play dead. Yes, okay. And what I wanted to say about that, is kids, they won't remember every conversation. You know what I'm saying? But they'll remember how we lived. Because that's what I remember mostly. How my parents lived, how my moms lived. I don't remember everything. I remember I ain't gonna bash mom right now, but I remember when moms beat me when I came home for sticking my middle finger up out the bus and all that. But I remember good things too. Her trying to do whatever she could to take care of us. But I don't remember conversations and stuff. All right, and I gotta say I love the fact you doing your thing and you building a legacy. Not just a career. I don't see it as just a career. You building a legacy for you, your daughter. What do you think the difference is between that building a legacy and a career?
That's a good question.
I does this. I does this.
No, I'm like, oh, that's a good question. Great questions. Yeah, a legacy and building wealth, right? Is that what you're saying?
No, just like yeah, basically legacy and just getting money.
Yeah, even the Bible speaks a lot about this too. And I reference the Bible a lot because the principles in there are just, a lot of times scientific and they just work, right? And when we leave an inheritance for our children, they're able to advance from the level we left off at. It's not like everyone is having to start over. And so even in the idea that the government is bringing up for everyone to get paid the same amount and for everyone to not own anything is just not right to me because again we need to set our children up because that's what legacy is, right? Allowing them to continue on, and if we allow them to continue on from where we stopped, it puts them in a position to go a lot higher and a lot farther than we did, as opposed to everyone just getting money in their time for their generation or for that moment and then leaving nothing for your children or leaving debt for your children and then them having to start from there.
Right.
So it's like we're constantly every generation is constantly going back to get further an inch further, and who's to say it's going to get that inch further? Maybe someone doesn't want to, maybe 100 years down the line that person may not want to start from the bottom and find something. So then everything you built is just is gone. So if you leave, security enough so that whoever's coming after can just continue to build on it or create something different, then that
Yes.
legacy comes as opposed to just building a career.
Right. Day to day and, paycheck to paycheck. I was just telling my brother that, man. It's legacies feed generations, He was like, all we need is love. Okay, I get where you coming from. But love ain't putting food in your family mouth. And if everybody broke and depressed, that's gonna spill over into your wife, your kids, and then everybody's gonna be depressed, and then what?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get them to see that. I'm trying to get Ted. I'm not talking to you. Please stop. Jesus Christ. Now, hold on, Danielle, tell me, what did you say about what the government is trying to do? Make everybody get paid the same?
Yeah, they want everyone to get paid the same. Look, I think they was thinking like 2030 is when they wanted to try. They're just talking about it pretty much. It's like a conversation that's being had, an idea that was brought up. Um, that
By who? Can't be by Trump.
Yeah, it was a team of Trump and like a few other countries who were discussing this idea to either have everybody be paid the same, everybody's making the same no matter. So say if we worked at a company and I was there longer, if I did more work than you.
Right, right, right.
And then the idea of people not owning anything.
What?
Yeah, yeah. So you won't necessarily like own the house you have because of the debt, I think, or something like that. Yeah.
So they trying to do away with capitalism or something? Like,
exactly, exactly.
wow, this man has lost his mind.
Yeah.
After he done made all his money, now you want to do that? Okay, okay, all right. It's not gonna be one of my Trump days.
There's either a country or a company. I forgot which one it was that is doing that system. Like, so pretty much if I'm a janitor and you're you're the CFO, for example, we'd probably make the same. Or so. I don't know if it's
He talking to China too much. He on the phone with somebody from China or North Korea because that just sounds crazy. But I ain't gonna get into my Trump shit today. So let's keep it moving. It's all about you today. So I read somewhere you said choreography tells stories. Explain that to me. Explain that to us.
I was doing music at first. That was like my first love, my first passion, I would say. And then I got prophesied to about my dance career. And it made sense because even when I would perform for my family when I was a kid or whatever, the fun part was creating the show and creating the dances. And so that's what choreography is, right? It's creating the dances behind the dancer and then creating the show around it so that it makes sense and looks like a real show. And so I thought that I had to tell stories only through my words, like in my songs. But when I realized that dance and movement was so powerful, I realized that those same stories, those same messages can be put through action, through movement, through dance, with no words, just movement and the atmosphere around it. And so that's what I do. That's what I correlate. So even when I'm choreographing for a live show or a music video or a play, or just for a concept video, the goal is to always tell a story and to tell someone's story so that they leave there with something. Because whether you know it or not, like sometimes if you go to a ballet, right, they may not have any extra props. It may just be the woman dancing and then the music behind her. But sometimes you can feel yourself getting emotional because whatever story she's telling is there and she's doing it. You're just not hearing it, right? But you can see it. And so it's the same thing in dance. And so sometimes it can be a little bit more intentional where we set up the atmosphere and the movement to be a little bit more literal. And then sometimes we want the audience to take whatever they are feeling internally from the show and kind of get the message that way.
I'm visualizing it all while you're saying it. Because anybody could teach steps, but very few people can make someone feel something,
Yes.
I dig it. I could dig it. I dig it. All right. So how have you ever, choreographed a piece that was secretly about your own pain?
That's good.
Like, you ever did anything like that?
I have, but I'm trying to think of one that was live.
Because I'm going to go watch it after this.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of something that was live because we do a lot of like concept videos, but those are a little bit more literal and they, tell the story. But I would say live that was in secret. I did like a 60s, 70s era kind of play.
Mm-hmm.
And although the times were extremely different, the emotions were still there. You had one woman who was, the more quieter one who didn't want to ruffle any feathers when it came to the relationship that the man was dealing with was a little bit more vibrant and outgoing. And just to see the emotions between the characters and then having to portray that through the dance, I definitely had to pull from something deeper, within myself.
Mm-hmm.
It's very easy to just envision what the dance is going to be when I close my eyes by the grace of God, thank God. But in order for a play for people to really feel that in a play from their seat to the stage, I definitely had to pull from my own personal experience and insecurities in relationship.
You're changing the world, girlfriend. You're changing the world. Yes, ma'am. I could feel it. I feel it. I could just feel it in the way you speak, you know?
Good, good, good.
Yeah, I asked that because I know artists, have a funny way of confessing, without saying a word. So I was just curious if you had ever did anything like that, you know?
Well,
And
that's why we go through things. Like I know that's why I probably went through a lot so that I can pull from a lot of different areas without it being attached to me. Like even though I've experienced it and I know what that emotion feels like and I can tap into that if I need to, I don't live that. Like that's not my everyday life. My everyday life is joy and peace and happiness, regardless, you know. I think
they,
that's
as it
powerful
should be.
in any
Hmm.
in any artist. I think that's a great place to be. We were just talking about this with actors. Sometimes actors will use the method where they really become the character and they dive deep into the character, which
Hmm.
can be good, but if you don't know how to get out of it when the role is done, you can stay there and it can continue to change you and who you are. Like if you were playing a depressed, sad character,
Hmm.
use the method to dive all the way in and become that character and you don't know how to separate it, then that can be very dangerous, for
Hmm.
you and your career. So the same thing.
Yeah. So, do you believe what I'm gathering here that movement you could can movement? What am I trying to say? Can movement communicate things words never could?
Yes. That's why you have body language. Body language is, I just posted this. Body language is louder than a lot of people think. It really is. Like, standing next to someone, talking to someone, watching them perform. Like, body language is a real language. And it's something that you can see rather than hear, but you understand it. So it's the same thing.
Right,
Hmm.
right, right.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
Our bodies remember everything, so sometimes they speak before our mouths do,
Yes.
because when I want to say you to somebody, sometimes I just like, like, because I hate, speaking. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
older me would just knock somebody out, but
Exactly. Which is
that's,
still movement. That's
yeah,
movement.
that's still movement. Exactly. Exactly. But them days are behind me. Them days are gone.
Amen. Amen.
Yes, yes, ma'am. Amen. All praise be to God. Yes, ma'am. Do you think dance can actually heal trauma?
Yes, yes,
Yeah?
yes, it can. It really can. Because the music and the show and the facial express the right show, I think. Like you said, there are people who just go up and they move and it's like, oh, okay, great job. That was really good. But then there are
Mm-hmm.
people who are just they have you just enwrapped in whatever show they're putting on through movement, and it's like wow. And again, you start to pull from your own emotions, and then it can tell the story that way. So a lot of things can be either very literal or
Mm-hmm.
it can have that subconscious feel where you're just watching it from your own perspective and everybody feels something different, but it's still a strong emotion.
Fascinating. That's fascinating. Because I would imagine if it does, then you would have to like gravitate to a specific performance and watch that over and over, or different performances that mean something to you, and like watch them over and over. It wouldn't just happen. Like if you have real trauma, happen just with one performance. You know what I'm saying?
If I understand correctly, you mean in like healing the trauma through watching the
Yeah,
performance.
yeah, yeah.
That can happen with things that are a little bit more literal,
Mm-hmm.
especially like in concept videos, because then people can literally put themselves in that position and see, okay, that is what I went through. That is how they got out of it. I can do that too. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right,
And then again, it's never going to be one and done. Especially
right.
if you like to listen to positive music or watch, positive things or whatever, you want to constantly feed your mind with these things.
Mm-hmm.
But as a dancer and a choreographer, if I really wanted to hit a specific person with a specific story or situation, I'm definitely going to make it a lot more literal so that they know, okay, this woman was abused. She went through this, she's getting beaten up by her husband. So you would literally see, the bruises on her face as she's coming out on stage and with her head down. And you know what I'm saying? So it would be,
Right.
would shape the story in the movement, but it would be a little bit more literal. Or, for example, if the man and the woman were physically fighting, even though the dance moves wouldn't be like her getting punched in the face, but kind of what he's doing. So if he's dismissing her, his back will be toward her, and she's dancing, showing that she's trying to show her emotion with him not giving her any kind of thing. So then you would see, okay, there's something going on between them, kind of thing.
Right, because healing don't always happen with just talking. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I definitely see that as a alternate. Definitely.
So now somebody in the audience, they can see, oh wow, like my husband dismisses me like that. That's what I'm saying. And so what happens at the end? Do they come together? Does the woman,
Mm,
by herself? Do they end things and
right.
so that's why the person's probably like, at the edge of their seat, because now that's me. Like I'm, my husband turns his back. I'm constant, so it kind
Yeah,
of
yeah, right. Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that.
yeah.
Tell me about cardio healing. Tell us all about that. When did that vision become bigger than yourself?
When I knew that it had to be, I found myself, like we talked about earlier, just wanting to have the wealth. Like at the time, I just needed my rent paid, and I was just like, what dance class can I teach? Who needs a private lesson? Like, what can I do in order to get my rent paid? But then to get my name out there.
Mm-hmm.
But then it became so much bigger than that when we started to perform for the ball drop at the end of the year in New York City. Never had an all dance team before us. And it was always like an artist and then dancers behind them. And so we were able to bring, that all dance show to New York stage, to one of the biggest stages in New York. And when I realized that we had something really going here, I felt like it was necessary to create this nonprofit. And so Cardio Healing LLC is the umbrella, and then we have the nonprofit underneath that, the Adams Elias Foundation. And that pretty much helps dancers and entertainers in the community, in the industry, whether it be dance or production assistant, directors, videographers, whoever it is, they're able to be a part of, a huge experience and then also get paid from it. And so that's really where that was birthed, in helping other entertainers in the industry really grow and thrive, and what that looks like. Because a lot of people can't move to these big cities like New York or LA or Houston or whatever the case is, and they still want to be a part, and they still want to learn, and they still want to feel what it feels like to be a part of something industry even before fully committing to it. So
Amazing.
the nonprofit.
Amazing. I love that. And I love that name, by the way, cardio healing, because people hear cardio, but you're really talking about healing hearts. You know what I'm saying? So is the ball drop something you're doing yearly?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, this is year 5 for us.
I love it. I'm not talking to you, Ted.
You said clapping what?
Yes. Man, that's huge. That's huge. I love it.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
You're more than welcome to be a part and come see the show and all the things.
And yeah, I want to dance too. I want to. Did you hear me? I want to dance. Being from New York, raised in New York and everything, I never did the ball drop. Never.
Really?
Never. I never been to the Statue of Liberty. I never been to, like being in Queens, we didn't really care about that. Especially, we take all that for granted. Like we really just don't care. We say, oh, that's a tourist attraction,
Right.
Yeah, and I don't want to deal with all that crowded, all the congestion on the subway and all that stuff. Just don't want to do it. But I would definitely go to yours though. Now that I know you there and you doing it, I'll definitely go.
Yes, definitely.
I might hit up 2027. We'll see.
Okay, good.
If we make it there, because it's another thing. I'm gonna stop with all the antics and stuff because I just feel something bad about to happen, but
no,
I don't want to talk it into existence. Let's move on. What do you think? Why do you think so many people today feel unseen?
I feel like people feel unseen. Well, you have to see yourself. People don't see themselves. And so it's not until I started seeing myself, and this is for me personally, it's not until I started seeing myself is when other people started noticing me too, and then you get kind of weirded out because you're not used to people noticing you. But you have to notice yourself first. You have to get used to being noticed. You have to get used to being liked and appreciated. And you have to start within yourself because that's just what it is. And then when people see you appreciating and loving and seeing yourself, then they start to appreciate, love, and see you too. It's just the way the world works. So you can't sit and feel sorry for yourself. Oh, woe is me, nobody loves me. Do you love
Mm-hmm.
yourself? Because that
Mm-hmm.
is the determining factor on whether other people can see if love even exists in your atmosphere.
Right, right. And it's hard for people like me, like, extra introverts, like just, it's just hard, man. It was just hard. And
It is.
it's hard to be vulnerable, especially men. It's hard to be vulnerable. You got to learn a lot of tricks and all that stuff. You got to learn how to be vulnerable. You got to, open up more.
Mm.
That's why I learned, that's a trick for me. Do you want him? Do you want this dog? Do you want him? Please. Please. Look, and then on my thumb. What do you want? What do you want from me?
He's like,
Oh my goodness. Jesus, heavens to Betsy.
he's so cute. Oh my
He
god.
is a trip. He usually has more. I had to cut all his hair off, but he usually has because he's a golden doodle, he usually has a bush. But
Yes.
I had to cut it off. But anyway, this ain't. Anyway, my next question. My next question is you're developing a film series, right? A series centered around redemption and faith,
Yes.
right? Tell us about that. I'm excited to hear about that.
Yeah. So it is a 7-part series, and I'm super excited about it because it's pretty much telling all the stories that we talked about in one, right? Um, it's coming from the perspective of a woman who again moves to LA and then gets the opportunity to do a bunch of other things, and she kind of falls into that. And then we see her build her life outside of, what she fell into. So, for example, it can be anybody. It can be a woman from Houston or a woman who moves to Houston, and the person she connects with finds her, the perfect strip club for her to start her career at. And then the manager that she hooks up with, and this is just an example, but it kind of goes along with the storyline. So, then the manager she hooks up with, gives her an opportunity to be on TV, but then she finds herself in the wrong rooms. But the money is quick, the money is fast, the money is good. So when do we stop? How do we stop? Should we stop? So it's answering all of those questions of pretty much gaining opportunities just to get out of an uncomfortable situation, but seeing the result is not what it could have been if you would have stayed course.
I love that. I love my revenge stories and stuff like that. But very few people know how to tell redemption stories. So I can't wait for that. When can we expect that to drop?
Definitely be expecting that in 2028. It is now in post production, so we still have a few things to shoot, like as far as like B rolls and like just extra scenes to fill the story in. But yeah, everything is all is set.
Hollywood.
Yeah.
Man, Hollywood. So that's something like you think like Netflix or something like that gonna pick up a company like that?
That's the hope. That's the hope, and we're definitely hoping that Netflix or another company, another streaming service, Hulu,
Mm-hmm.
Amazon, we're definitely hoping that they pick up also the documentary we want to do around the ball drop show as well, and just showing the reality of what it's like to be in the entertainment industry, dealing with costumes and people and rehearsals and everything.
Oh, Danielle, I love it, man. I got some. I got a. I don't want to say it on here, but I got something to talk to you about
Okay,
after this.
okay.
So, what do you think? What's missing storytelling today?
Mm.
What's missing from storytelling? Sorry.
The genuine, like the realness of it. You got people who've never experienced these things trying to tell the story behind it from a perspective they've never lived. And, that's, to me, it's impossible. It's just like anybody else talking about things they never experienced. You know, it's like me telling you about owning a podcast and, you know, writing a story about that. And I've never owned a podcast in my life. The genuineness and the realness is definitely missing because, you know, you can see that. You can see that in the stories that we see sometimes, you know, real life, you know, and not to say that it has to because it is TV, but let's make it a little bit more
Right.
relatable to the people
Mm-hmm.
who actually experience that so that they can
Mm-hmm.
get something from it as opposed to just trying to get their $11.50 at the movie theater, you know?
Right, right, right. Yeah. A lot of it is watered down today for some reason. Like I don't know what's happening. It's just not the same anymore, you
Because you
know?
have people that think of these things and they have the money behind it, but they never actually experience it. It's like, you know, an all white production creating the Black History
Right, right, right.
movie.
It's crazy.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like
Yeah,
literally black and white. It just does not make sense. So yeah.
exactly. I agree. So do you think, people who become broke, broken people create the greatest art?
Now, when you say broke or broken, which one?
Like not broke like money broke, but like people that became broken from life. Do you think, I'll call myself broken definitely.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm still piecing myself together. So do you think like broken people like me, create the greatest art?
Yeah, honestly, I really do. Anytime you're in a rough situation, that's like you said, the perfect time to build character. You know, who are you? There's so many things I learned that I would have never learned if I had it all together, pretty much. Like I grew into such a wonderful person because of the broken pieces that it came from, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, any type of whatever career path, and speaking specifically in the entertainment industry for people who create, most definitely, because we're pulling from real experiences. You know, we're talking about things,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that's what people need. Because if everybody was a doctor, if everybody worked in corporate, you know, who is telling my story of when I go home late at night and I'm single and I really want to be in a relationship? Like, who else is telling that story? Who can agree with me? Who can relate? Who can I turn to get that relief or that emotional release and relief? It's important for us, for the people who are creatives, to really pull from real experiences because there are real people out there really living this and they can't do it themselves, but they want to be able to express that emotion.
Right. And for the people at home, don't get salty. I'm not saying you have to be broken to create great art. I'm just, pain isn't required for greatness, but it definitely gives greatness somewhere honest to come from. That's all. That's all we're saying. That's all we're saying. So take it easy. Take it easy. I know some people gonna, I've been getting death threats and all that. I just want to clarify that. Yeah.
You know you can
So
turn this off if you don't like it, right?
right, right. Like just take it easy on me, guys. Just take it easy. So Danielle, while we winding down, we about to wind it down. What's one scene from your own life that still plays in your mind today?
Wow, it's so many. Like, which
What
one do I want to pull
the
from?
go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'm just trying. I'm like, which one do I want to pull from?
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to say when I got prophesied to. When I got prophesied to, that was like boom. Because I was like, I'm so talented in so many things that I had no idea what God wanted me to do until it made sense, and I was like, oh, dancing, choreography, duh. And everything
Mm.
else is like flowing from there as far as like the nonprofit, the brand, the creative things, like the content. All of that is growing from that one thing. So that really helped change my life. And I was at like an emergency situation because I was really going to give up. I was like, well, maybe I'm not supposed to,
Hmm.
but then God spoke to me. So that was definitely a very memorable moment.
Were you ever angry with God?
Oh my gosh, I was just expressing my anger to him yesterday. Can we
Hmm.
talk about it? Can we
Yes. Let's
talk
tell us about it, please.
it is, and I don't mean to say angry because it's like, how can we get angry with God? Like
Hmm.
we're this big, like seriously. But,
Right. Right.
you know, but that frustration is real. Like that frustration
Hmm.
is real. That fear is real, and that's really what it is. It's fear. It's fear. It's your doubts creeping in. It's you not knowing who you are. And that's just the honest truth about it. You know what I'm saying? Because, for example, if I was going for an audition, right, and I really wanted this audition and I didn't get it, that can make somebody angry with God, especially if I did all the things. I prayed, I gave in the church, I've been sacrificial with my time, I've been reading the Bible, I'm doing all the things that I'm supposed to do. Why didn't I get what I wanted, right?
Right, right.
Angry and frustrated, especially if it's a dire need situation, which a lot of us have been in. But then you have to, like I said, think back and take a step back and say, wait a minute, who am I? Who do I serve? And what do I know about my life already? What is the truth, right? Because the lies can come. Oh, you needed that job. Oh, you needed that opportunity. Another one is not going to come. All these lies can fill your head, but when you know who you are, none of that will affect you, right? So it's like, okay, I didn't get that job because I know something better is coming. And like I said, as a man thinketh, so is he. So now the atmosphere around you begins to cooperate with what you said and how you think and what you think about yourself and your situation. So yeah, I was upset yesterday, and I went to church last night. We had service last night, and that was literally what he talked about, was knowing who you are. And I felt bad within myself, because I'm like, dang, here I am trying to put all the blame on God for making certain things happen, but all I need to do is speak. All I need to do is act on it. All I need to do is stand firm in what he's already told me, and things will move accordingly. So yeah,
I'm glad you said that, because
he's already given, he's already done, it's already there, it's already going to happen.
mm-hmm.
Getting mad at him is a little backwards, and it's counteractive, because I need to be focused on what the truth is, so I can make sure I get to where I need to be. Because if I'm depressed and I'm just in the house, oh, it's not working, oh, it's me, da da da, woe is me, and I was supposed to be at the grocery store to meet so and so who was gonna give me so and so to so, you understand what I'm saying? So it's like,
Yeah.
a ripple effect of either positivity or negativity. And you have to determine that within yourself. You can't be mad at God, because he's already set out the positive path. But if you're not willing to walk through it, what is he gonna do? Force you? Knock you out? Drag you to the grocery store? No. You have to know everything is working for my good. So I can get up and I can freely go wherever I want to go, because I know that everything is working for my good. And boom, I just ran into another blessing.
Right. Look at that. Look, but that's real faith, though. When you say you get angry or whatever with God, we're supposed to be able to take everything to him. Life ain't all hunky dory. Talk to him. When you upset, let him know you upset. Like, that's real faith to me. Yeah. It's not pretending you've never questioned. So
that's getting into intimacy too. Now we're talking about intimacy. Now it's like, okay, I have a real relationship with this God, and now I can express my feelings. Yeah, that's real too. I think I was speaking more on getting out of that, but when you're in that, that's okay. Like you said, that is okay to be honest with the God that you serve, especially if you have that relationship. Now, there's people who never talk to him, right? They never care to even see what his opinion is on anything that has going on in their life, except for when things are bad. But if you have an intimate relationship with him, yes, he wants to tell you his opinions, your opinions. He wants to ask, how do you feel? How should I go about this? Y'all now start to become co-workers together in this life.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yes. Co-workers. I love that. Wow. You just gave me a different insight.
Wow.
Look at you. Look at you doing your thing. Okay. All right, Danielle, check this out. Every guest who comes on to W.A.R answers this for me. Our show, stands for W.A.R. We're all recovering.
Yes.
Recovery isn't just addiction. It's recovering from fear, abuse, shame, failure. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. It's recovering from heartbreak, perfectionism. I could go on, but this is whatever life has thrown at us. So I'll ask you, what are you still recovering from? And what gives you, hope you'll continue healing?
One thing is that has been new to my recovery is people pleasing. That's something new that I've been getting healed from. It's like a different form of people pleasing because I don't necessarily feel like I have to do what people tell me to do, but I do want the people around me to feel good when they're around me. But you can't guarantee that in everybody because some people just don't feel good in themselves. And so that's something I'm learning. That's something I'm recovering from, right? Is, having to feel like everybody needs to be happy when they're in my.
Oh my God. I'm laughing not at you. I'm laughing because me and you are like so aligned. My therapist told me that I needed to stop people pleasing. That I needed to learn how to say no, and that was my problem. I couldn't say no to people. That's still my problem. That's crazy. That's wow. And that's why this show exists, not because we've arrived, but because we're still becoming,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
But Danielle, I could talk to you forever. I know I kept you here for a minute. I never did a part two, but I have so many questions. I would love to do a part two with you. When you have the time. I know you're a busy woman, but yes, thank you. And I want to let you know this wasn't just an interview about choreography. This was about courage, about motherhood, about abuse, about purpose, about faith, your legacy. Thank you for trusting me with your story. Thank you so much. And it was an honor. And everybody watching, go support Danielle Adams Johnson or Danielle Adams Elias. Go support both of them. Please. Go support both of them. And Danielle, tell the people where to find you, please. Tell the people your Instagram, everything, your business, email, all that, please.
Yes, so you can find me on all social media at INGNTR. So specifically Instagram, TikTok, INGNTR. My website is theglowuphouse.club, and that is house spelled HAUS. So it's the glowuphouse.club. And yeah, if you are interested in any dance classes, we are hosting a dance class coming up pretty soon in the Los Angeles area. So if you are here, definitely let me know. If I have any online friends, please contact me. We'll be doing an online class as well. We have a retreat coming up in 2027. Be on the lookout for that for all the women.
Yes.
We'll be talking about branding. We'll be talking about financial literacy. We'll be doing faith. We'll be doing EFT tapping to help us release certain traumas in our bodies. So it'll be a nice weekend for the girls.
I love that. I love that. And support cardio healing. And, support people using creativity to heal broken places. It's because art isn't just entertainment. Sometimes it's therapy. Sometimes it's survival for real. And sometimes it saves lives. Danielle, thank you. It was such an honor, my fellow Fall Rock American. It was such an honor to have you here. I'm so delighted right now. I'm going to have a good rest of my day.
Good. That's what I'm talking
Yes,
about.
yes. To everybody, it's war. Each one reach one. We're all recovering. Peace. On the next war, we're all recovering.